Dear Lord Latham, thank you for organizing this entertainment.
It's been my pleasure, madam. I couldn't help but notice when we had the last command performance of Mr. Gilbert's works. Kind of nice, was it not?
Indeed, thank you, Lord Chamberlain. But I have a question.
Certainly.
During the first act, I've been following the libretto you prepared. And I see that sometimes the actors are not speaking the lines that appear in the libretto.
Indeed, madam. Mr. Gilbert told me that sometimes the actors take the liberty of adding what he called gags.
Gags? I always thought gags were things that were inserted into people's mouths by authority.
But in this case, the gags is something that people insert into their own mouths with authority, without authority.
be married today to the man I love best. And I believe I am the very happiest girl in Japan. Indeed, you are the happiest girl. For you have attained happiness in all but perfection. In all but perfection? Well, dear, it can't be denied the fact that your husband is to be beheaded in a month is in its way a drawback. It does seem to take the top off it, you know.
Oh, I don't know about that. It all depends.
At all events, he will find it a drawback.
Not necessarily. Bless you. It all depends.
Well, I think it's very indelicate of you to refer to such a subject on such a day. If my married happiness is to be cut short, well, cut short in a month. Well, can you let me forget it?
Oh, Yum Yum in tears. Not your wedding day.
They've been reminding me that in a month you are to be headed.
Yes, we've been reminding her that we're to be
It's quite true, you know. You are to be beheaded.
Now, some bridegrooms might be depressed by this sort of thing. A month. What's a month? These divisions of time are purely arbitrary. Who says 24 hours make a day?
There's a popular impression to that effect.
Then we'll efface it. We'll call each second a minute, each minute an hour, each hour a day, and each day a year. At that rate, we've about 30 years of married happiness before us.
And at that rate, this interview has already lasted 4 hours and 3/4. Oh, yes, how time flies when one is thoroughly enjoying oneself.
That's the way to look at it. Don't let's be downhearted. There's a silver lining to every cloud.
Certainly, let's be perfectly happy.
By all means, let's thoroughly enjoy ourselves.
She deserved to cry.
Quite ridiculous.
Brightly dawns our wedding day. Joyous shall we give thee greeting. With a heart of fleeting. Think of moment greatest day. Think of moment greatest day.
beside me.
I'm afraid we're distressing you.
No, I must get used to it, only please, do it by degrees. Begin by putting your arm around her waist. Oh, thank you, let me get used to that first.
Wouldn't you like to retire? It must pain you to see us so affectionate together.
No, I must learn to bear it. Now, please oblige me by letting her head rest on your shoulder.
Like that?
Oh, yes, I'm much obliged to you. And now, kiss her. Oh, it's simple torture.
Oh, come, bear up. After all, it's only for a month.
No, there's no use deluding oneself with false hopes.
What do you mean?
Oh, my child, my poor child. Oh, how shall I break it to her? My bride that was to have been.
Was to have been.
Yes, you can never be mine.
What?
I've just ascertained that by the Mikado's law, when a married man is beheaded, his wife is buried alive.
Buried alive?
Yes, buried alive. It's a most unpleasant death.
I call it a beast of a death.
Yes, I got it from Pooh. He's my solicitor.
But he may be mistaken.
So I thought. So I consulted with the Attorney General, the Judge, the Chief Justice, the Master of the Rolls, the Judge Ordinary, and the Lord Chancellor. They were all of the same opinion. Never knew such unanimity on a point of law in my life.
But stop a bit. This law has never been put in force.
Oh, not yet. You see, flirting is the only law punishable by decapitation, and married men never flirt.
Of course, they don't. I quite forgot that. Well, I suppose my dream of happiness is at an end.
Oh, darling, I don't want to appear selfish, and I love you with all my heart. I don't suppose I shall ever love anybody else half as much, but when I agreed to marry you, my own, I had no idea that I should be buried alive in a month.
Nor I. In fact, it's the very first I've heard.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does make a difference.
You see, burial alive is such a stuffy death.
Yes, as I said, I call it a beast of a death.
You see my difficulty, don't you?
Yes, but I see my own. If I insist on you carrying out your promise, I doom you to a hideous death. If I release you, you marry Coco at once.
Here's how we do, even if you, when your time is come to perish, let the maiden from your cherish must be sought to do. Here's how we do, here's how we do.
Here's a pretty mess, in a month or less. I must die without a wedding, let the bitter tears I'm shedding witness my distress. Here's a pretty mess, here's a pretty mess.
Here's a state of things, to her love she clings. Matrimonial devotion doesn't seem to suit her notion, burial it brings. Here's a state of things, here's a state of things. With a passion that's intense we worship and adore, but the laws of common sense we often do ignore. If what I say is true, 'tis death to marry you. Here's a pretty state of things, here's a pretty how we do. Here's a pretty state of things, a pretty state of things. Here's a how we do. For if what I say is true, I cannot marry you. Here's a pretty state of things. Here's a pretty howdy do. My poor boy, I'm really very sorry for you.
Oh, thanks, old fellow. I'm sure you are.
Yes, you see, I'm quite helpless.
Oh, I quite see that.
I can't conceive of anything more distressing than to have one's marriage broken off at the last moment. But you shan't be disappointed of a wedding. You shall come to mine.
That's awfully kind of you, but I'm afraid that's impossible.
Well, how so?
Oh, today I die.
What do you mean?
I can't live without Yummy. This afternoon, I perform the Happy Dispatch.
Oh, no, I can't allow that.
Why not?
Well, hang it all, you're under contract to die by the hand of the public executioner. Well, if you kill yourself, what's to become of me? Why, well, I shall have to be executed in your place.
It would certainly seem so.
Now then, Lord Mayor, what is it?
The Mikado and his suite are approaching the city and will be here in 10 minutes.
Oh, the Mikado? Oh, he's coming to see whether his orders have been carried out. Now, look here. Now, this is getting serious. Why, you really mustn't frustrate the ends of justice by committing suicide. As a man of honor and a gentleman, you are bound to die ignominiously at the hand of the public executioner.
Very well, then. Behead me.
What, now?
Certainly. At once.
Chop it off! Chop it off!
My good sir, I don't go about prepared to execute a gentleman at a moment's notice. Why, I've never even killed a fly.
Still, as Lord High Executioner.
Oh, my good sir, as Lord High Executioner, I've got to behead him in a month. I'm not ready yet. I don't know how it's done. I mean to take lessons. I'm going to begin with a guinea pig. And I'm going to work my way up through the animal kingdom until I come to a second trombone. Why, you don't suppose that as a humane man, I'd have accepted the post of Lord High Executioner if I hadn't thought the duties purely nominal? I can't kill you. I can't kill anything. I can't kill anybody!
Come, my poor fellow. We all have difficult duties to dispatch at times. After all, what is it? If I don't mind, why should you? Remember, sooner or later it must be done.
Must it? I'm not so sure about that.
What do you mean?
Well, why should I kill you when an affidavit saying that you've been executed will do just as well? Why, here are plenty of witnesses. There's the Lord Chief Justice, the Lord High Admiral, the Commander-in-Chief, Secretary of State for the Home Department, and First Commissioner of Police.
But where are they?
There they are, and they'll all sign, won't you?
Am I to understand that all of us great officers of state are required to perjure ourselves to ensure your safety?
Why not? You'll be grossly insulted as usual.
Will the insult be cashed on or at a date?
It will be a ready money transaction.
Well, it will be a useful discipline. Very well, choose your fiction and I'll endorse it. Ha ha, family pride. How do you like that, my buck?
But I tell you that life without Yum Yum?
Yum, bother Yum. Commissioner, go and fetch Yum and bring her back here at once. Now you, take Yum and marry Yum, only go away and never come back again. Where is Yum? There she is, Yum. Are you particularly busy?
Not particularly.
You've 5 minutes to spare.
Yes.
Well then, go along with His Grace the Archbishop of Titty-Poo, and he will marry you at once.
But if I'm to be buried alive.
No questions. Please go with Titty-Poo, and he will explain all.
One moment.
And not for words. If the Mikado's coming to ascertain whether or not I've carried out his orders, and if he finds you alive, I shall have the greatest difficulty in persuading him I've beheaded you. Oh, close thing that, for here he comes.
godly kind of way, I commonly trial and sect, or chiefly on my sway.
Except his daughter-in-law even, ask him for a bone and a wing of a run, his daughter-in-law even.
My nature's love and like my freedom from all defect.
It's insignificant fight, and with his daughter-in-law elect. Oh, to his daughter-in-law elect.
To his daughter-in-law elect. A more humane Mikado never did in Japan exist. To nobody second and certainly reckon a true philanthropist. It is my main endeavor to make to some extent each evil liver a running river of harmless merriment. My object oh sublime I shall achieve in time, to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make each prisoner pent, unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment. A prosito society sinners who chattered, blink, and bore. I sent to hear sermons from mystical Germans who preached from 10 to 4. The amateur tenor whose vocal abilities all desire to shock shall during enough hours exhibit his powers to Madame Tussauds waxworks. The lady who dyes a chemical yellow or stains her gray hair puce, or pinches her finger is painted with vigor and permanent walnut juice. The idiot who in rare care just scribbles on window panes. We only suffer to ride in a bumper in parliamentary trains. My object oh sublime I shall achieve in time, to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make each prisoner pent, unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment.
His object oh sublime, he will achieve in time, to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make each prisoner pent, unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment.
The advertising quack who wears with tears a countless cures, his teeth-eyed nectar shall not be extracted by terrified amateurs. The music-hall singer who tends a series of masses and fumes and nuts, by barking to over with Beethoven, Beethoven, and classical Monday pops. The billiard shop who anyone catches his doom's extremely hard. He's made to dwell in a dungeon cell in a spot that's always barred. And there he plays extravagant matches and finless finger stalls on a clock untrue with a twisted cue and elliptical billiard balls. My object oh sublime I shall achieve in time, to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make each prisoner pent, unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment.
His object oh sublime, he will achieve in time, to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make each prisoner pent, unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment.
I am honored in being permitted to welcome Your Majesty. I guess the object of Your Majesty's visit, the execution has taken place.
Oh, you've had an execution, have you?
Yes, the coroner has just given me the certificate.
I am the coroner.
And this is his certificate of death? In Titty-Boo, in the presence of the Lord Chancellor, Lord Chief Justice, Attorney General, Secretary of State for the Home Department, Lord Mayor, and groom of the second floor front.
They were all present, Your Majesty. I counted them myself.
Very good house. I wish I had been in time for the performance.
Yes, he was a very tough fellow, too, a man of gigantic strength. His struggles were terrific. It was really a very remarkable scene.
Describe it.
The criminal cried as he dropped him down in a state of wild alarm. With a frightful, frantic, fearful frown, I bared my big right arm. I seized him by the scruff of his neck, and on his knees fell he. As he squirmed and struggled and gurgled and gurgled, I drew my snicker sleeve, my snicker sleeve. Oh, never shall I forget the cry with a shriek that shrieked me. As I gnashed my teeth when from its sheath I drew my snicker sleeve.
Knowing well he cannot tell the true about his tales, he always tries to utter lies, and every time he fails. He shivered and shook as he gave the sign for the stroke he didn't deserve. And all of a sudden his eye met mine, and it seemed to brace his nerve. I nodded his head and kissed his head and whistled an air he. The saber drew, cut cleanly through his cervical artery. His artery. When a man's afraid, a beautiful maid is a cheering sight to see. And it's so I'm glad that moments that was sweet by side of me. The terrible tale can't still the truth is white and breeze. No taste except of faultless fact amounts to all disease.
Although you have said that head was dead, for its owner dead was he. It stood on its neck with a smile well bred, and bowed 3 times to me. It was none of your impudent off and nods, but as humble as could be. For it clearly knew the deference due to a man of pedigree. Of pedigree. And its oh, I vow, this deathly bow was a touching sight to see. Though trumpless yet, it couldn't forget the deference due to me.
This haughty youth, he speaks the truth whenever he finds it pays. And in his taste it all took place exactly as he says. Exactly, 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 exactly as he says.
All this is very interesting, and I should have liked to have seen it. But we came about a totally different matter. A year ago, my son, the heir to the throne of Japan, bolted from our imperial court.
Indeed. Had he any reason to be dissatisfied with his position?
None whatever. On the contrary, I was going to marry him. Yet he fled.
I'm surprised he would have fled from one so lovely.
That's not true.
No.
You hope that I am not beautiful because my face is plain. And you know nothing, was still unenlightened. Learn then that it is not in the face alone that beauty is to be sought. My face is unattractive,
It is.
but I have a left shoulder blade
that is a miracle of loveliness. People come from miles to see it. My right elbow holds a fascination that few can resist.
Allow me.
It is on view Tuesdays and Fridays with presentation of visiting card. As for my circulation, it is the largest in the world.
And yet, he fled.
And is now masquerading in this town, disguised as a second trombone.
A second trombone?
Yes, would it be troubling you too much to produce him? He goes by the name Nanky.
That's quite easy. I mean, no, it's rather difficult. You see, he's gone abroad.
Gone abroad? His address.
Springville.
What's the matter?
Look here! His name, Nanky Poo, beheaded this morning. Oh, where shall I find another? Where shall I find another?
Dear, this is very tiresome. My poor fellow, in your anxiety to carry out my wishes, you have beheaded the heir to the throne of Japan.
I beg to offer an unqualified apology.
I desire to align myself with that expression of regret.
We really hadn't the least notion that...
Of course you haven't. How could you? Come, my good fellow, don't distress yourself. There's no fault of yours. If a man of exalted rank should choose to disguise himself as a second trombone, he must take the consequences. It really distresses me to see you take on so. I no doubt he's thoroughly deserved all he got.
We are infinitely obliged to your majesty.
Much obliged, Your Majesty.
Very much obliged, Your Majesty.
Obliged? Not a bit, don't mention it. How could you tell?
Of course, we couldn't tell who the gentleman was for sure.
It wasn't written on his forehead, you know.
Yes, it might have been on his pocket handkerchief, but second trombones can't afford pocket handkerchiefs.
I forget the punishment for accomplishing the death of the heir apparent.
Punishment?
Yes, something lingering with boiling oil in it, I fancy. Something of that sort. I think boiling oil occurs in it, but I'm not sure. I know something humorous, but lingering with either boiling oil or melted lead. Oh, come, don't fret. I'm not a bit angry.
I beg to reassure your majesty, we really had no idea.
Of course.
I knew nothing about it.
I wasn't there.
Well, that's the pathetic part of it. Unfortunately, the Fool of an Act says, compassing the death of the heir apparent. There's not a word about a mistake.
No.
Or not knowing.
No.
Or having no notion. Or not being there.
No?
There should be, of course.
Yes.
But there isn't. That's the slovenly way these acts are always drawn up. However, sure, it'll be all right. I'll have it altered. Next session. Now, let's see about your death. Will after luncheon suit you? Can you wait till then?
Yes, we can wait till then.
Good, then we'll have it after luncheon.
I don't want any lunch.
I'm very sorry for you all, but it's an unjust world, and virtue is triumphant only in theatrical performances. See how the fates their gifts are lot. For A is happy, B is not, yet B is worthy, I dare say, a more prosperity than A.
Is B more worthy?
I should say he's worth a great deal more than
A is happy, oh so happy, laughing, papa, chapping, papa, nectar, puffing, papa, ever joyous, ever gay, happy, undeserving.
corroborative detail intended to give artistic verisimilitude to an otherwise bald and unconvincing narrative.
Oh,
Corroborative detail indeed. Corroborative fiddlesticks.
well, then you're just as bad as he is with your cock and bull stories about whistling in air and catching his eye. But that's just like you. You must always put in your oar.
And how about your big right arm?
And your Snickers me.
Well, never mind that now. Well, there's only one thing to be done. Nanky Poo must come back to life immediately. Oh, and here he is. Nanky Poo, I've good news for you. You're reprieved.
Oh, but it's too late. I'm a dead man. And I'm off for my honeymoon.
Oh, something terrible has just happened. You are the son of the Mikado.
Yes, but that happened some time ago.
Is this a time for airy persiflage? Your father is here, and with Kadisha.
My father, and with Kadisha.
Yes, and he wants you particularly.
So does she.
Oh, but he's married now.
Oh, my dear girl, what does that have to do with anything?
Kadisha claims me in marriage, but I can't marry her because I'm married already. Consequently, she will insist on my execution, and if I'm to be executed, my wife will have to be buried alive.
You see our difficulty.
Well, yes, and I don't know what's to be done.
There is one chance for you. If you could persuade Kadisha to marry you instead, she would have no further claim on me. And in that case, I could come to life without any fear of being put to death.
I married Kadisha?
I really think it's the only course.
But my dear girl, have you seen her? Oh, she's something appalling.
Oh, that's only her face. She has a left elbow that people come miles to see.
Oh,
I hear she has a right heel that's admired by connoisseurs.
my dear sir, I decline to pin my heart upon any lady's right heel.
It comes to this. While Kadisha is single, I prefer to be a disembodied spirit. When Kadisha is married, existence will be as welcome as the flowers in spring. The flowers that bloom in the spring, tra-la, bring promise of merry sunshine. As we merrily dance and we sing, tra-la, we welcome the hope that they bring, tra-la, a summer of roses and wine, of a summer of roses and wine. And that's what we mean when we say that a thing is welcome as flowers that bloom in the spring. Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, flowers that bloom in the spring. Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la.
The flowers that bloom in the spring, cha-la, have nothing to do with the haze. I've got to take under my wing, cha-la, a most unattractive old thing, cha-la, with a caricature of a face, with a caricature of a face. And that's what I mean when I say or I sing. Oh, bother the flowers that bloom in the spring, cha-la-la-la-la, cha-la-la-la-la. Oh, bother the flowers of spring,
Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la.
Canisha.
The miscreant who robbed me of my love, but vengeance pursues. They are heating the cauldron.
Oh, Canisha, behold the suppliant at your feet. Canisha, oh, mercy.
Mercy? Had you mercy on him? See here, you have slain my love. You did not love me, but you would have loved me in time. I am an acquired taste. Only an educated palate can appreciate me. I was educating his palate when he left me, and, well, now he is dead. And where shall I find another? Oh, am I to go the weary round again, and at the same time implore mercy for you who robbed me of my prey, I mean my pupil. Just as his education was on the point of completion, oh, where shall I find another?
Here!
What?
Oh, Canisha, for years I have loved you with a white-hot passion that is slowly but surely consuming my very vitals. Oh, shrink not from me. If there is aught of woman's mercy in your heart, turn not away from this love-sick suppliant whose every fiber thrills at your tiniest touch. Oh, true it is that under a poor mask of disgust, I have endeavored to conceal a passion whose inner fires are broiling the very soul within me. But the fire will not be smothered. It defies all attempts at extinction and, breaking forth all the more eagerly for its long restraint, declares itself in words that will not be weighed, that cannot be schooled, that should not be too severely criticized. Canisha, I cannot hope for your love, but I will not live without it. Darling!
You, whose hands still reek with the blood of my betrothed, dare to address words of passion to the woman you have so foully wronged?
I do. Accept my love, or I perish on the spot.
Oh, go to. Who knows so well as I, no one has ever yet died of a broken heart.
Oh, Canisha, you know not what you say. Listen. On a tree by the river, a little tomtit sang willow, tit willow, tit willow. And I said to him, Dicky bird, why do you sit singing willow, tit willow, tit willow? Is it weakness of intellect, birdie, I cry, or a rather tough worm in your little inside? With a shake of his poor little head, he replied, Oh, willow, tit willow, tit willow. Now he slapped at his chest as he sat on the rock, singing willow, tit willow, and a cold perspiration bespangled his brow. Oh, willow, tit willow. He sobbed and he sighed, and the girdle he gave, then he cast himself into the billowy wave, and an echo arose o'er the suicide's grave. Oh, willow, tit willow, tit willow. Now I feel just as sure as I'm sure that my name isn't willow, tit willow, tit willow. That 'twas blighted affection that made him exclaim, Oh, willow, tit willow, tit willow. And if you remain callous and obdurate, I shall perish as he did, and you will know why. No, I probably shall not exclaim as I die, Oh, willow, tit willow, Titwillow. He really did.
All on account of a cruel little hen.
Yes.
Oh, poor little chap.
It's an affecting tale, and quite true. I knew the bird intimately.
Did you? He must have been very fond of her.
Oh, his devotion was something extraordinary.
Oh, poor little chap. And if I refuse you, will you go and do the same?
At once?
Oh, no, you mustn't. Anything but that. I'm a silly little goose.
You are.
And you won't hate me if I am a little, teeny, weeny, wee bit bloodthirsty. Will you?
Hate you? Oh, why, Kadachah, is there not beauty even in bloodthirstiness?
My idea exactly.
Oh.
There is beauty in the belly of the blast. There is grandeur in the growling of the gale. There is the lip of the horn and the lion is a roaring and the tiger is a lashing of his tail.
Yes, I'd like to see a tiger from the Congo more than I to bird, especially when lashing of his tail.
Tornadoes have a splendor that is green, and earthquakes only terrify the dogs. But to keep us scientific, there is nothing that's terrific in the falling of the land and thunderbolts.
Yes, in spite of all my needs, if I have a little wings, it's a passion for a flight of thunderbolts. If that is so sing, away we'll go and merrily, merrily, all time, till the day is done. There's beauty in extreme old age. Do we fancy you are elderly enough? Information I request to keep a subject interesting is a maid in all the bird when she's tough.
Oh, I must have to make it is a genuine opinion that she'll last a good deal longer when she's tough.
Are you old enough to marry, do you think? Should you wait until you're 80 in the shade? There's a fascination frantic in a ruin that's romantic. Do you think you are sufficiently decayed?
To the matter that you mention, I have given some attention, and I think I am sufficiently decayed.
If that is so sing, away we'll go and merrily, merrily, all time, till the day is done. If that is so sing, very it's evident, very odd taste our one. Away we'll go and merrily, merrily, all time, till the day is done. Merrily, 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 all time, till the day is done.
Now then, we've had a capital lunch and we're quite ready. Have all the painful preparations been made?
All is prepared, Your Majesty.
Then produce the unfortunate gentleman and his two well-meaning but misguided accomplices.
Mercy. Mercy for Coco. Mercy for Pity Sing. Mercy even for Pooh Bah.
I beg your pardon, I didn't quite hear that last remark.
Mercy even for Pooh Bah.
Mercy. For my husband that was to have been is dead, and I have just married this miserable object.
You haven't been long about it.
We were married before the registrar.
I am the registrar.
I see, but my difficulty is that as you have slain the heir apparent.
The heir apparent is not slain.
Bless my heart, my son.
And your daughter-in-law elected.
Traitor! You have deceived me!
Yes, you deserve an explanation, but I think you'll give it better whole than in pieces.
Your Majesty, it is true that I had stated that I had killed your son.
Yes, with most affecting particulars.
Merely corroborative detail intended to give an artistic verisimilitude to an otherwise...
Will you refrain from putting in your oar? It's like this. Now, when your Majesty says, let a thing be done, then it practically is done. It's as good as done because your Majesty's will is law. Now, when your Majesty says, kill a gentleman, then a gentleman is told off to be killed. Consequently, that gentleman is as good as dead. And practically, he is dead. And if he is dead, why not say so?
I see. Nothing could possibly be more satisfactory.
Lord, he's gone and buried him now.
Yeah.
Your king will be buried, your all will be buried, and we are going to sit down.
Come.
And turn
On this subject, I pray you be done. Your notions, though many, are not worth a penny of the word, for your guidance is wrong. But you very good bargain indeed.
On this subject we pray you be dum dum dum. We think you had better say come. Nobody there are many who went for a penny, who went for a penny. There are lots of good fish in the sea. There are lots of good fish in the sea. There's lots of good fish in the sea. There's lots of good fish in the sea. In the sea, in the sea, in the sea, in the sea.
And cloud has passed away.
Then let's go for joy with laughing song. Let's go for joy with laughing song and merriment, with laughing song and merriment, with laughing song. With joyous
ticket.